Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is again my pleasure to come to you and to bring moments from my book entitled Cave Walker, a psychodynamic approach to pastoral care. Today, I thought it quite appropriate to talk about chapter 4, and its title is Avoid Spiritual Bypassing. I never heard that word before, even though I was actively doing it for years before I became more acquainted with clinical pastoral education. But spiritual bypassing is the attempt to use spiritual words to cover up emotional pain. Person asks you maybe how are you doing, and instead of being honest and say, I really don't feel well, you'll say stuff like, I'm blessed and highly favored. God is good. And God is good. Don't get me wrong, God is good. But God has given us this unique privilege of individuality. He's given us this unique privilege of autonomy, this unique privilege that we can be able to speak for ourselves what we feel, who we are, to make our own choices, and not feel obligated to speak everything in spiritual terminology, but to be human, to connect on a human level. Because when you connect on a human level, not only do you help yourself, you help the person that may be going through a similar malady. So let me talk about spiritual bypassing. How about that? I'm going to read about it first and then I say a few words about it. I'm on page 28, I believe, in the book, chapter 4. Over the years, I've had the privilege of offering clinical pastoral education to seminarians, pastors, and clergy from various faith traditions. A common thread among them was their tendency to take the spiritual bypass. I must admit, much of my ministry before encountering CPE was also spent on the same bypass. It was my comfort zone, a familiar language that required little time or effort in truly listening to people's stories. Instead, I offered a rhetoric that I knew they would accept without resistance. The spiritual bypass was a path where I knew all the exits, whether consciously or unconsciously. I avoided journeying alongside patients because I lacked the tools. So I stayed where it felt safe. Let me stop there for this session. Spiritual bypass language is a safe zone. It's something that we are familiar with. It's something that it's our go-to. We know the words. You know, you've gone to church sometime, and when you go into the door and people ask you, how are you doing? And the first thing that comes to your mind, oh, I'm blessed. Oh, things are well. And truth be told, you're going through some dark place. You're going through your own cave, but you just don't feel safe enough to say it. There's several reasons you may not feel safe, and one of them is you don't want to be judged for your lack of faith, your lack of believing God. Truth be told, you don't want to be judged for being a human. For there are times when you really don't feel good. There are times when you are struggling. There are times even you have a crisis of faith. You are wondering, where in the world is God? Why is this happening? And instead of speaking your truth, you simply say, things are going well. Or those favorite words, I'm doing fine. And you're not. You're on the spiritual bypass. So for the next 2 or 3 sessions, I want to deal with this chapter and talk about the spiritual bypass. And it is my invitation to invite you to come off that bypass and stay on the road of authenticity, the road of transparency. When you set yourself free to be who you are, then you are bringing healing to others who long to speak their truth, to say what they are feeling in the moment that they are feeling it. So I train CPE students to be attuned to what they are saying, to be aware of what they are saying. We call it reflection in action. Before you speak a word, think about it first. And then ask yourself a question. The next time someone asks you how you're doing, ask yourself this. Is this my truth? Or is this me trying to impress them of a truth that I do not carry at the moment? It's okay to be human. It's okay if you're in a cave. Because only when you can speak your truth and be authentic can a cave walker come alongside you and enter that space and bring some measure of hope to you. And more than anything, give you the space to say what's really going on. So as you reflect on these moments, I invite you, stay away from the spiritual bypass and be your authentic self. That's the best place that you can thrive. May you have a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, or a blessed night.